Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cindy and today we will be doing a deep dive into the current Louis Vuitton employee discount policy. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I used to work for LV for many years at many different locations, and I recently have been sharing a lot of insider information, including some kind of crazy customer stories. I disclosed my salary from when I worked for LV, and one of my most popular videos was when I exposed a lot of the Louis Vuitton employee discounts and perks and benefits that I received when I worked for Lvmh. A lot of that information has changed since I left. It seems that a lot of the benefits have declined drastically. So I plan to post an updated video sharing some of the current information, but in today's video, I want to do a deep dive into the current LV discount policy because it has changed and not for the better. I have in my hot little hands the current LV discount policy, and it was published as of June 2014. This is the current discount policy that's in effect. This is what is being given to current employees that are onboarding this year, and it's the rules and the guidelines that they follow when purchasing LV merchandise at an employee discount. So we'll just go right into it, and I'll post the information for you guys. We'll read through it line by line, and I'll kind of explain the differences from when I worked for LV and what is in effect now. Louis Vuitton employee discount policy purpose. It talks about Louis Vuitton employees who are eligible to purchase at discounted prices. Tells you where they may be purchased through LV stores and through the employee sales online program and at end of season sales. So now right away, those are kind of different terms from when I worked for LV. One of the biggest perks that we got was the ability to purchase through the RTV system, which is return to vendor. Those are items that are pretty much damaged or in any kind of unsaleable condition and cannot be sold to clients. So they're sent to the RTV system, which is housed at the San Dimas facility in California. And at the time, that was the only facility in the United States. Since then, the Texas facility has opened up. And these are not items that were like severely damaged. A lot of the merchandise that was in the RTV system was in pretty much perfect condition, except for maybe one or two minor flaws. And these can be just very minor scratches, you know, surface level scratches, or maybe minor discoloration. And all those items were marked down to 70% off. So right away, that seems to be no longer the case. But let's go further into it. So now they have what's called the Employee Sales Online Program, and that is what has replaced the RTV system. And then end of season sales, and I mentioned this at the very end of my video, at the end of every season, there would be a clearance sale of all the seasonal merchandise, including ready-to-wear and shoes, and that would be marked down drastically, way more than 70%, generally up to 85% off for shoes and more in some cases. It goes on to say that the employee discount is only provided to employees for purchasing products for their own personal use and personal gift giving, and they may not be resold, i.e. you cannot buy something and have an individual pay you for the purchase. So that's a no-no. So that's the same. That was already in effect when I worked for LV. They were only meant for yourself or for gifting. So basically you couldn't purchase it on behalf of someone else. So the first section goes into eligibility. All regular full-time and part-time active employees who have been on the payroll for 90 days are eligible for employee discounts. So that has remained the same. When you first start working for Lvmh, you are on pretty much a 90-day kind of a probation period. And so for the first 90 days of your employment, or 3 months, you were not eligible for any discounts. You just worked, you had to, you know, kind of pay your dues. And then at the end of the 90-day probationary period, then you would be eligible to start purchasing merchandise with your employee discount. So that's the same. Other employee classifications, i.e. contractors, consultants, temporary staff, seasonal staff, are not eligible for employee discounts unless otherwise specified by HR. By the way, it's not i.e. When you give a parenthetical and then you give a list of examples, that's e.g. But anyway, I just noticed that. If you check out my other video talking about how to get hired at LV, and I mentioned the differences with seasonal staff. So around the holidays, which is right around this time, leading up to Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping, many LV boutiques will hire seasonal staff. Now, they are not considered regular employees. It varies by the boutique, but seasonal staff generally are not permitted to sell directly to clients. What they do is they're runners, they grab stock, they cash wrap, they ring up, they package, they gift wrap, they ship things out. That's generally, at least at the boutique level, that's what seasonal staff are permitted to do. And then I mentioned in my LV toxic work environment video how some seasonal staff, when they were hired, I don't know if they were misled, but a lot of them, what their understanding was that if they work and do a great job during the seasonal hiring, they would be hired after the season is over as a part of the regular rotation. In my experience, that didn't happen. Many of the seasonal staff were not hired into the regular rotation as a regular employee. You never receive the benefit of an employee discount, and so they spell that out clearly here. Employees must be employed and in good standing with the company at the time of purchase. Except as set forth below with respect to retirement, employees who have provided notice of resignation, resigned from the company, or those on any type of written warning are not eligible to participate or receive product ordered prior to providing notice of resignation or the administration of the resignation or the written warning. Then they give a handy dandy chart to explain the classification, changes, and then what the policy is. If you're a part of the lucky few to be hired from the seasonal staff to the regular staff, then they would count the time worked towards that 90-day probationary period. So I think that's nice. If you're on a leave of absence, you can purchase, and if once you resign, you can't purchase. Program descriptions, they talk about the employee discount program, how it's discretionary and that there is no right to participate by the employees. Payments are made by credit card in the name of the employee only. All sales are final. You may only shop during your own personal time and not during work hours. All employees should be respectful of the busy periods in the store and shop accordingly. I can tell you for a fact that often did not happen when I worked for LV. We would usually shop, and talk about our wish list of what we would buy with our colleagues and try it out, for our own personal use. But I mean, we were respectful of the time, and with clients, obviously, if there were clients, you didn't ignore them. If there was downtime, then, we would kind of work on our wish list of what we wanted to purchase. Employee discount at LV stores. Items should be purchased from freestanding LV stores within the country you work in. If a freestanding store is not in the vicinity, employees may be allowed to purchase items at a leased department store. That's the same. Employees must wait at least 6 months after the launch of a product before purchasing any items in the store network. Employees cannot purchase new season Louis Vuitton ready-to-wear shoes or accessories until they have been available to customers for 4 weeks. So this is where where the information is a little bit contradictory, because so you have to wait 6 months after a launch. I'm going to assume that they mean 6 months after the launch of a new, like a leather goods item, a bag pretty much, or accessory. You cannot purchase new season ready-to-wear shoes or accessories until they have been available to customers for 4 weeks. So that probably applies only to the seasonal merchandise. Obviously, you can't wait 6 months for seasonal merchandise because then the season will be over. So they probably mean 6 months after the launch of a new permanent collection or a permanent product. Then the seasonal stuff, you have to wait for 4 weeks. Okay, here they get into the specifics. Leather goods, shoes, ready-to-wear, sunglasses, and accessories. Eligible employees receive 30% discount from the retail price of any item purchased from a freestanding LV store, including one monogram per year. So when I worked for LV, there was no such thing as monogram or My Heritage or My World Tour. There was the ability to custom order some items, but those were pretty much reserved for VICs. LV employees generally didn't custom order anything, but the 30% discount was the same back then, and it's the same now. Purchases made using this discount are limited to US $3,000 per calendar year. Now this is where it's a little hazy. I honestly don't remember what the 30% discount was. Again, most of our purchases were done through the RTV system at the 70% off, and that was capped at $2,000, which seems ridiculous now because the prices have skyrocketed. 30% off, I don't remember what the cap was. It was rare for LV employees to purchase the majority of their LV discounted merchandise at the 30% off because it's still very expensive. We pretty much waited for RTV so that we could get it at 70% off, and that was capped at $2,000. So I don't know what the 30% cap was. I thought this was funny. Employees wishing to purchase monogram should create their monogram order on their personal time, print it out, bring it to the store Monday to Friday before 1 p.m., and then a manager would place the order. So they're very specific about not shopping during your work hours. Eligible employees are allowed to purchase one watch per calendar year at 30% discount. This value is not included in the $3,000. This was one thing I forgot to mention in my first video. There would be occasional sales, like clearance sales for watches. And so watches would be deeply discounted, anywhere from 50% off to 70 or 80% off for the very expensive, like diamond encrusted watches. So they're still expensive even though they're deeply discounted. I never purchased a watch. I didn't really like them. It was that Tambor collection. It just wasn't really my style. So I never purchased it. But as far as I remember, there was no purchase limit to watches. usually because they're trying to get rid of it. So once it got to that clearance kind of a sale for watches, I mean, maybe it was like 2 or 3, but it definitely was more than one. You definitely were able to purchase more than one watch back then. Eligible employees are allowed to purchase 2 different pieces of jewelry per calendar year at 30% discount from a list of selected styles. So I wonder what that list includes. The value of 2 pieces purchased cannot be above $8,500. This is not included in the $3,000 limit. Similar to watches, I don't remember there being a limit to the jewelry purchases, but a lot of employees, at least from the ones that I worked again at many different locations, a lot of them did not purchase the jewelry because it just wasn't really popular back then, I guess. The jewelry they had back then were the charm bracelets. Do you guys remember that? If you guys remember the LV charm bracelets, let me know in the comments below, but no one I knew purchased LV fine jewelry. Now this kind of a short section, it appears to be what replaced the RTV system. It is called the Employee Sales Online, or ESO. Eligible employees are eligible to purchase up to $4,000 per calendar year of leather goods, accessories, sunglasses, and textiles, and up to $1,300 for shoes per season through the ESO online site. You're only allowed to purchase a maximum of 2 of the same SKU per calendar year. I think that's to prevent people from reselling similar merchandise. So, okay, and I have spoken to many current LV employees about this. The RTV system was done away with, and they replaced it with this ESO system that employees can access themselves. The RTV system, when I worked at LV, was kind of an inventory search, and you could see what was available per, depending on the SKU. This ESO, they show what is available for purchase. And let me tell you, the inventory in this ESO site is terrible. There is no monogram. Like, it's very rare for monogram pieces, monogram bags, the bread and butter of LV leather goods. It was very rare for that to pop up on the ESO site. And if it does, it would be snatched up so fast. So a lot of what's left over are kind of the maybe less favored items, including a lot of the men's leather goods like taiga leather in green, just kind of eccentric bright colors of solid leather items, solid leather bags that maybe people don't really want as much because, number one, it's not their style, and also because it's all leather, it's a lot more expensive than what a monogram bag would have been at that discounted rate. It was still the 70% off, but again, it was so hard to purchase what you actually wanted, so a lot of people just didn't purchase anymore. The discount for that, for the RTV system when I worked for LV, was $2,000. They did increase that spend to $4,000. But again, if you're not buying anything, you're not going to meet that limit. The end of season sale, EOS. So now they have a name for this. I called it the fire sale. Eligible employees may be invited to participate in end of season catalog sales. Eligible employees invited to participate in the corporate EOS sale will need to show valid ID to gain entrance to the sale. So now this was what I mentioned where the in-person sales, like you would go and it was at locations close to the corporate headquarters or flagships, you would go in and it would be like a fire sale. And so this was where I mentioned that the seasonal shoes that did not end up selling during the seasonal end of season sales in the boutique, these would be sent to these fire sales, and it would be marked down to $49, okay? $49, it was crazy. And you could invite a friend. So it was just, what a time to be alive. So that is no more. They are not $49. I think they said the most it was still the 85% off. But the EOS sale doesn't give a flat percentage off because it probably varies depending on the item and the category of merchandise. The maximum an individual, including his or her guest if applicable, so again, in some cases you are permitted to invite a guest with you, they may purchase at each end of season sale $2,700 for ready-to-wear sunglasses, textile, and accessories, and up to 4 pieces of jewelry valued up to $3,500 and 1 watch with no price limit. Duplicates must be approved, and again, this is to prevent reselling. Employees who shop at corporate EOS sale are not eligible to shop the catalog sale. Now, that makes sense because, again, the physical corporate sale, if you are eligible to purchase from there, if you're fortunate enough to attend in person and purchase from there, you are not permitted to purchase from the catalog EOS sale. And again, it's to be fair because a lot of LV employees are not close to the corporate, physical sale. So it's to give them a chance to purchase items that are not available to them. Again, the in-person sale is so much better than what was available in the catalog sale. In person, there just is so much more available. It's an either or situation. Now here's where it gets exciting. And I've heard about this, but I didn't know the details. If you are fortunate enough to work in any of the LV Paris boutiques, you are eligible to purchase from the Paris employee store. Now this is a physical store that is open. It has store hours and you can walk in and purchase throughout the year. Eligible employees may purchase up to 1,500 euro for leather goods and accessories and up to 1,000 euro for shoes, 8 pairs max, at the Paris employee store. And they give the address. It has a name, which I won't share. The Paris employee store offers RTV and EOS merchandise subject to the annual limit described above. We remind employees that they must be discreet as far as this space is concerned. In other words, please don't broadcast this location to everyone. It is open Monday through Friday from 11 to 2. Hours are subject to change. In order to shop at the store, you must send your request to HR 2 weeks prior to arrival. No guests are allowed and use of the cloakroom is compulsory. Payment is with Visa only. The employee must leave the site after payment. I would love to visit this store. I imagine that is just full of unwanted merchandise that has been picked over. I don't have information. Even many current employees don't know what is available there. They don't know when they get new shipment, new merchandise, the condition of the merchandise. But it just sounds kind of like a magical place. Section 3 goes into violations of the discount policy. It tells you that the employee is responsible for monitoring their purchase limit and to respect the purchase limit. You cannot transfer the allowable quantity to other employees. You cannot resell the merchandise. And you're responsible and accountable for the merchandise, even after they gifted it. And they are responsible to ensure that the recipient of the gift understands that they cannot resell the products, cannot be exchanged in stores, and they will not tolerate the abuse of this privilege. Section 4 goes into consequences for violating discount policy. And pretty much every single violation of the discount policy can include disciplinary actions up to and including termination. Basically, you can be fired for any of these violations. And then they give a handy dandy chart of the type of discount program, what you're allowed to purchase, how many items you're allowed to purchase, and the consequences of violating these items. The violations include going over the amount that you're allowed to purchase, also non-payment, which they mentioned in the previous section. In section 5, handling charge disputes. In the event of a dispute with an ESO, end of season, or in-store purchase, employees should follow the guidelines below. Please do not initiate chargeback with your credit card company. If there's a problem with your charge, contact the seller if there's a problem with your charge, which is the employee sale manager or the store manager. I have never experienced that. I'm curious as to whether there have been issues with employees issuing a chargeback. I could see, maybe unscrupulous employees purchasing a ton of stuff and then quitting and then filing a chargeback with their credit card company. So if they're no longer an employee, they therefore are no longer subject to disciplinary actions, including termination, because they've already left, but then they've, filed a chargeback with their credit card. I, again, have never experienced that. I've never seen anyone do that, but I am wondering whether that has happened, that they had to include this little bit here in the policy. The last page is an overview of the entire policy. It goes over the discount program, the quantities and amounts that are allowed, and the consequences for violating each. Violations include going over the quantity, non-payment, which I'm guessing could be, if you pay with a credit card and then there's a chargeback, or resale. And it's funny because pretty much every single disciplinary action includes termination. Resale is automatically termination. Going over the quantity in terms of the amount or the dollar amount can include termination or suspension of purchasing for up to a year. So that is the entire policy. It appears that this was last updated in June 2014. Again, when I worked for LV, this was 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, there were so many great benefits that we received. The discounts were amazing. The clearance, end of season, ready to wear and shoes, clearance sales were amazing. There were a lot of other tangibles that we received. You know, we physically received items from the company in celebration of certain milestones. From my understanding, current employees, they no longer experience these. Oh, and also the trips. There were trips that certain employees were selected to visit the Saint Denis facility, or they could even visit Paris. These trips are kind of on the decline, and then obviously with everything that's been going on this year, that has kind of stopped completely. It was great. I had an amazing time. I loved working there. So if you have any questions and want to hear more about what it's like to work for LV, let me know in the comments below and I will definitely follow up. I plan to share a lot more information and a lot more stories about my time with LV. So I hope you enjoyed this video talking about the LV discount policy, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.